Hello, welcome to Clydesdale Homestead. I'm Tamlin, and I want to share a quick tip with you on what everyone should do before you get new garden soil. Whether you're buying it from a garden center, getting a big dump truck load full of garden soil, whether you're bringing in compost from an unknown source or even a known source. Your friends down the road with horses or goats may have a big pile out by their barn. They'd love for you to come and take and put it in your garden. You must do this first before you bring that soil into your garden. This is known as the bean test. So what you need to do to test the soil that you're thinking about bringing into your garden is you need to get some green bean seeds. These are the kind I have. Any type of green bean will do. I would even do this at a garden center. Ask for a little sample of their soil, bring it home, plant some green beans. Do not buy it until you have tested their soil and you know what's in it. Okay, so this is what you do. Plant the green beans, okay, in the soil. When the green beans germinate, when they start to come up, you will know by the shape of their leaves whether the soil or the compost has been contaminated with an herbicide. So this happened to me last year. I got a nice big truckload of composted goat compost from a goat barn. Been sitting out in the field for about a year. Brought it home. I put it in my garden beds, planted my tomatoes, my sunflowers, my peppers, my tomatillos, and all of a sudden those nice healthy starts, I had starts to begin with, so I knew they were perfectly fine plants. The leaves started to curl up. The blooms were withered. If they did produce fruit, it was misshapen, and I didn't know what was going on. I looked it up, and the most likely culprit was an herbicide contamination in the soil. So there are many herbicides that farmers spray on their hay crops to discourage weeds, and it doesn't hurt the hay crops at all. It doesn't hurt the animals who eat the hay, but that herbicide stays active for years. So let's think about it. It's been about 3 years since that herbicide was first applied to the hay that was eaten by the goats, went through their digestive system, pooped out, sat there all winter, was put in the garden beds, and now it's been an entire winter and summer and winter since then. So it's been about 3 years. So I wanted to see if that soil was safe to plant in now, if that herbicide had broken down enough to see whether the crops could be planted in, because I put that compost right in my garden bed. So one option would have been to dig it all out and just get rid of it somehow, but I wanted to see if it would break down. So what I did was I gathered several different types of soil, planted green beans in all of them, to see what would happen. So this is the green beans that were planted in brand new bagged potting soil for gardens at the store. These green beans, you can tell they look beautiful. They're all uniform in size. The leaves are nice and green. They look normal. And that's the great thing about green beans is you can tell right away whether the leaf is affected or not. Okay, this was taken from the garden beds where I put that contaminated soil last year. These were actually the first green beans to pop up. And you can see they're huge, much bigger than these. They look healthy. Leaves look great. This one came straight out of my compost box. And I did put a little bit of that contaminated compost in my regular compost box, but it also had a lot of other things, and it was outside, and the leaves look fine. This one, let's talk about this one. Last year, I took some of that contaminated soil and the plants that were still alive, such as the peppers, which can overwinter. They're an annual in a warm climate. And I brought them into the house. So this is the same soil as this. The difference is this one spent the winter indoors. It was not exposed to UV, to all of the elements as this one was. So look at this, and these leaves, you can tell that they are misshapen. You see how that leaf is even split? They are curled. They're not at the normal size. Hope you can see that. Okay, so this soil, I would say, still is contaminated with the herbicide. It's affecting this green bean. Now, again, I said these are the exact same. But this one spent the winter outdoors, was exposed to the elements, more light, possibly more water, helped to break down the herbicide. So it's safe to plant in now. These few pots I had that I kept indoors, I'm just going to chuck them out in the yard. Most of the herbicides are safe for grasses. So you could plant something like corn in this and it shouldn't affect the corn. You can put it on the lawn and it won't affect the grass that's growing on your lawn. So it has some redeeming qualities as you wait for the herbicide to break down. I don't think it is something that you need to go through a lot of effort to get rid of if it's in your yard. This last plant were the beds I have up here on my deck, my sky garden, and some of them did get some of the compost from last year put in them, and some of the leaves are slightly misshapen. You can see that. So again, they were outside all winter long also, but it's just a few of the leaves, and you can see like on this plant, the next set of leaves that are coming out look totally fine. So there may be little spots of contaminated soil mixed in somewhere, but it's not enough to affect the whole plant. It should bloom just fine. So that is the green bean test. I highly recommend that you do the green bean test before you bring any new soil or compost into your yard, into your garden. If you're unsure of what the animals ate who made that compost. It seems like a lot of work, but believe me, it is worth it. You do not want to lose a whole gardening season by bringing in herbicide-laced soil. So learn from my mistake, do this simple test, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.